Hello, this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show. And it is a hot competition in SugarLand, Texas right now because we got the mayoral race in SugarLand, Texas. And just to give you an idea, SugarLand it's one of the major attached cities next to Houston, right? So I think Houston might be the largest regional economy on this side of the planet. I don't know, it's huge. And SugarLand is a foundational city just southwest of Houston. And it's a hot race right now in SugarLand, Texas, because we got the mayoral race, and we are down to two candidates. Originally at 6, we're down to 2. And we are here with one of those 2 candidates today, Carol McCutcheon. Carol, how are you doing?
I am doing great, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited to be in the runoff to be the next mayor of SugarLand.
Excellent. Very good. And we're bringing all the hot questions today. You're going to be on the hot seat.
Okay.
This is not an easy interview. So
okay, well, I'm sitting down, so let's go.
So we're going to get right into the first question, Carol. And the question for you is, what are you going to do about the alligator in Crescent Lake?
Well, right now he's a baby, so we're just going to let him swim around. And if he gets too big and too aggressive, we'll call somebody to maybe relocate him to a place where there are other alligators that are away from the city.
Right, yeah. I mean, it could turn into one of those 1970s horror movies where it's an alligator that grows out of control and starts stalking people.
Yeah, if that happens, we'll have to, like I said, have him relocated to greener pastures and stuff. But there are a ton of turtles in the pond, and he's happily eating the turtles, and so far nothing else. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, before the show started, Carol told me that next to her house,
well, you're talking
lake.
about fishing and the catfish, so I had to one-up you and tell you, you have a catfish, I have an alligator. So,
because in Meadows Place, we have a giant catfish in our pond. And what happens in our catfish, they come and you have to throw the fish back in Meadows Place. But except for the catfish, you can take the catfish. But the problem is that when people catch the catfish, they never bring their gear to take fish with them. So they throw this catfish back in the Meadows Lakes pond, and it's like a barracuda of a catfish right now. It's a giant catfish. Wow. Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's Fort Bend County, Texas. It's a safari. It's a jungle. I'll tell you one more story. Okay. So my wife heard the dogs going nuts in the backyard, right? And we live right next to a bayou. Okay. So whenever the water comes in, it flushes all the animals out into our backyard, into our garage. We have rodents and stuff like that. But what happened is the dogs were freaking out in the backyard. And so my wife goes out to see what's going on. And the neighbor peeks over the fence and goes, "It's a snake, it's a snake." And it was the snake. It was like that big around.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And what it does, it comes up from the bayou because our neighbor has chickens. And so I think it's going for them chicken eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife saw it. Holy cow, she screamed. The dogs chased it away. The snake lived, yeah.
Wow, how long is it?
I can only tell you, when it's that big.
It's got to be massively long if it's that big around. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so it's country in Fort Bend County, Texas.
It is pretty wild out there. Yeah.
Yep. So we going right at it right from the beginning, but I got the next hot question for you.
Oh, boy, what's the alligator? What's this going to be?
I have been told that you are the DEI candidate of the SugarLand mayoral race.
Oh.
What's up with that?
I did see that on Facebook, yes. And I laughed about that because I've got a bachelor's in chemical engineering from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I have a master's in chemical engineering with a minor in petroleum engineering from the University of Texas at Austin. I have a MBA from U of H in finance and management, and I worked in the energy industry for decades. My husband and I have lived in SugarLand since 1993. I've been a community leader here for 32 years. I served on SugarLand City Council for 8 years. I was Mayor Pro Tem from 2019 to 2020. In 2003, I was named as a Fort Bend Woman of the Year. In 2022, I was named as one of Houston's 50 most influential women. So I just laughed when I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I've known you for maybe 2 years now, and you've never come across as anything more than, very qualified. You're more than qualified for this position. Where would they get that kind of an accusation?
I guess because I was a woman. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But I'm a graduate of SugarLand 101, a graduate of the SugarLand Citizens Police Academy, the Citizens Fire Academy, the Citizens Airport Academy. I'm a graduate of the Fort Bend Leadership Forum, Leadership Houston, Leadership Texas, Leadership America. I was president of the Women's Energy Network of Houston. I've been on the Shape Up Fort Bend board. Back when they had the Space Cowboys, I was on the board of the Space Cowboys Foundation. I served on the City Charter Review Commission back in 2003, which was an appointment by City Council. I've served on the Land Use Advisory Committee. And then since I've been on council, I've served on a large number of boards, commissions, and committees. I'm by far the most qualified, knowledgeable, and experienced candidate to be the next mayor of SugarLand. And my engineering degrees have served me very well because I bring a practical, solutions-oriented approach to city leadership. And with a $569 million budget, my MBA has definitely served me well.
Yeah. No, I mean, your credentials are overflowing. I mean, you have an incredible resume. It's good that they didn't get in your head, because we had recently another candidate, and she also is very well qualified for a position, but she'd never ran a race before. So I think that when they started saying that stuff about her, it may have gotten into her confidence a little bit, but certainly that's not the case here.
Absolutely not. I laughed. I thought it was hilarious.
So tell me, why are you running for SugarLand mayor?
I absolutely loved SugarLand. As I mentioned, my husband and I have called SugarLand home for 32 years now, and I want to keep SugarLand just strong and vibrant and just a welcoming place to call home. And I want to keep SugarLand safe. We are a very safe community, but I want to keep it a safe place to live, work, and raise a family. I want to make sure that our police force continues to be, well-trained and have the resources and training they need to keep us safe. And of course, the same goes for our firefighters and our emergency medical services. And then we have, infrastructure work we need to do because we are an aging city. We're 65 years old, so we have work we need to do on keeping our roads and sidewalks maintained. And then traffic mobility is a key issue. I mean, Fort Bend County is one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. So SugarLand is getting a lot of through traffic. So we have to, work on mobility. And so, and then also redevelopment is another key issue with the Imperial Sugar District and also Lake Point.
Well, that's a lot that you just mentioned.
I did. I just packed it.
We're going to slow down and go over all of it. But, the one thing I think that you said is about SugarLand being an incredible city. For people that aren't from Fort Bend County, that aren't from this part of Texas, SugarLand is an incredible city. I love SugarLand. I live just outside of SugarLand. Me and my wife have been residents of Fort Bend County for 10 years. And just like you, I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving. I don't see anything happening in my life that would ever take me out of this community. And I think the other thing about the community that makes it so strong is that, there's a lot of diverse opinions and a lot of emotions, right? But that's a sign that people have a vested interest in keeping our city, our county great. And I think that it's a reflection of the county and the quality of the people.
That's well said, Chris.
Yep. So tell me, where are you from originally? And when did you come to SugarLand? Yeah,
well, I'm originally from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So then after I graduated from high school, I went to UT Knoxville. And so then I came, they're going to figure out my age if I do. Anyway, but I did come later to, University of Texas, and then got in the oil business, and then went to work in Houston in the oil business. And then we transferred to Lafayette, Louisiana, and then we came back here in 1993. So my husband had a job in the Energy Quarter in Houston, and I had a job in Greenway Plaza. So we were looking for something where we would have equal commute time, and so we ended up in SugarLand. And the interesting thing, the first movie that we ever went to see, or on our first date, we went to see the movie On Golden Pond. And when we were looking for a house, there was one on Golden Pond. And we said, this is it. That's where we had
And now Golden Pond has a giant alligator.
No, it's a baby alligator.
Oh, okay.
It's a baby alligator.
Okay. Okay, so you mentioned a lot of things in your opening.
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to talk about is SugarLand is safe.
Very safe.
But we are right next to, butted up against Houston, which you cannot say is safe. And I live right there on the border. I live literally less than a quarter of a mile from the border on West Belfort, and you could see the stark difference once you step over that county line. And so, regarding crime, what is the state of crime and safety in SugarLand today, and how do you see that issue?
Well, SugarLand, I said, is a very safe community. But people know that people think it's safe, so sometimes there may be a little bit lax on security. So people from Houston could, easily hop into SugarLand and commit a crime. So we want to make sure that our police officers are there ready to keep us safe, and if there is an incident, to have a very quick response time if 911 is called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then our fire department, it's like third rated in the nation. Very outstanding fire department.
Oh, wow.
So that's really great. And fire's another area where you really want a quick response time, because once the fire starts, that thing goes exponential. So you want to put that out very quickly.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that SugarLand is a safe town, in spite of being its close proximity to some more dangerous neighborhoods.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It is a safe town, and you want to keep that.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I want to maintain just the wonderful suburban atmosphere that we do have here.
Well, again, the city manager or the mayor, whoever that person is that's overseeing a city, has an incredible impact on the safety. And I think that if it's not a qualified person in there, then that safe living status could possibly be threatened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But everyone really wants to keep SugarLand safe. All the city council and the city manager and city
Everyone's
staff.
on it.
Yeah, everybody's on board with that. Yeah, we're not a defund the police area whatsoever.
Right.
And we had some police officers that were hired here who came from New York, and they were really amazed when they got to SugarLand. They said, people really appreciate the police here because we have a community policing atmosphere. And they said they thank us, they want to take pictures with us. He said it is night and day difference from what we experienced when we were cops in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah, all very good points about SugarLand, Texas, Fort Bend County, Texas. I think that one of the things that you said that really stood out in my mind is that it is the fastest growing city.
Well, the fastest growing county. Yeah.
Fastest growing county in what? In the state of Texas or in the country?
Oh, it's one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. But that brings a lot of through traffic coming through, which is causing traffic mobility, issues in SugarLand,
mm-hmm.
which is a tough problem to solve.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what do you see of, the fact that what are the issues that come with being such a fast growing county?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I said there's a lot of pass-through traffic,
mm-hmm.
and of course, I-59, was an interstate, so that's sort of a federal government and TxDOT issue, but then we have a lot of traffic on Highway 6 and Highway 90, and we widened Highway 6 as much as we can widen it, so we're really working on using the latest and greatest traffic technology, so instead of having a set schedule for traffic lights, that the traffic lights can sort of communicate with each other and change the timing of the lights real time to help the traffic flow through the areas. So that's real important. And we'll continue to look at that to see how we can continue to improve mobility in the city.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think you said that the city has how much is the budget, the budget of SugarLand, Texas?
Yeah, it's about $569 million, and that's for maintenance and operations as well as our capital improvement projects. $569 million.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me about the capital, the bonds.
Yeah. There was a $350 million bond package that was approved by voters in November. And one of the projects is to build a new animal shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I've heard people talk about this.
Yeah, so back in 2015, there was a master plan that identified the fact that the animal shelter was going to be inadequate for the future. So we've got, funds now for a brand new animal shelter. And because we are constrained right now, the animal shelter is closed quite a bit for capacity. So if someone finds a dog on the street and bring it in, it's sometimes turned away because there's no more room. So I'm looking forward to getting the new animal shelter built that'll have additional capacity, because it's really important to care for the animals too, not just the people but just the animals of our city. People love our animals.
We love our animals.
They are. They have unconditional love. It's real. And
we even love the alligator, right?
I don't know if I go quite that far, but he's fine.
Where will the animal shelter be located?
It'll be on the south side of Highway 90, a little bit east of Highway 6, on some property that the city owns. So, and it'll be constructed in the next 2 to 3 years.
And what will be the total cost of the animal shelter to build it?
It'll be close to around $20 million.
And then what will be the ongoing operating costs of it?
I don't know that number off the top of my head.
Because that's about 36 months away, I would think, probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that'll probably be a little more than it is now, but I don't have a number off the top of my head. Yeah.
This is already, the budget's already allocated for it and everything of that sort for the $20 million?
It was approved by voters, but we will allocate that as we need it. Right now, we're getting into the design phase, and so funds for the design phase will be allocated. Then once we get into the construction phase, then additional funds will be allocated for the construction phase of it. So we issue the bonds on a as needed basis.
Okay, good deal. I think that one of the things that threatens a lot of our Texas cities is losing their suburban way of life, right? And it's sort of like this idea that being urban it's like the cool kids, right? We all want to be urban, and that means high density housing. And when I think about that in SugarLand, it just makes my skin crawl. I don't want that to happen. What is your position on SugarLand regarding density and retaining its suburban status?
Okay. Well, when I first ran in 2017, I ran on Keep SugarLand Suburban. And so I have still maintained that position. So I think it's important to, grow and develop and redevelop, but we need to do so in a way that still maintains that community atmosphere that makes SugarLand such a wonderful place to call home. And I know with respect to Lake Point and Imperial, the land is very costly there. So when they do redevelopment into mixed-use developments, it's going to be some denser products, but we want to make sure that it doesn't turn into, like a little mini Houston in those areas and just completely overwhelm the traffic in the area. But I think it's just that important, like I said, to balance that and do it so it's compatible with community values. And many, many people in SugarLand want to maintain that suburban atmosphere, because many people moved out of parts of Houston to come to SugarLand for that very reason.
So, sorry, I'm jumping back to a subject we already talked about, but they're calling you the DEI candidate, right? And I'm not having fun anymore. I want to ask this question,
okay.
right?
Well, yeah. But, it wasn't.
But my point is this.
Yeah.
My point is this: is that when you go in there, I think we identified why they're calling. It's not because you're qualified. Maybe it's because you're overqualified and you're a threat to them. I don't know, but you're certainly not what they're calling you. My question for you is this: is when you get in there, and I think it's probably because you're a strong woman. I hate to bring that victim card, but I think that's why they're doing this. But my point being is, when you get in there, I think that they're going. These people are expecting probably to push you around. If they're already calling you these names online, when you go in there, do you expect it to be? How are you going to deal with the rest of the council and the powers that be in SugarLand?
Yeah, that's a few people on Facebook that's supporting, an opponent. So I'm not really worried about that. In fact, I just laughed. I thought it was hilarious because when I was working on my bachelor's degree, I said in Tennessee, back when I was decades ago, I was often the only female in my class. So I was really a trailblazer back then. And when I worked offshore on a oil rig supervising some logging operations, I'd fly for a very long time out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, be dropped off on a helipad, and I was the only woman offshore. In fact, they didn't even know where to put me, because the company man would have his own private quarters, then all of the crew would share a large bunk room, and they couldn't put me with the company man. They couldn't put me with this large number of crew. And so they would just give me a little cot in sick bay for me to sleep on because they literally had no place for me. So I have, I'm not concerned about it at all. And plus, I have a collaborative approach to leadership, and there are going to be a lot of great people that are elected to city council, and we'll work together. And yes, I'm not a real loud, forceful type of person. I said collaborative, but I don't think you have to be really, loud to lead. I think it's important to listen to the residents of SugarLand, and together move forward in a way to keep our city strong and vibrant and a suburban atmosphere that they want to call home.
Very good.
So.
Excellent. Again, I find your resume to be incredible. Hugely impressive.
Thank you.
Yes. So we covered crime. We covered the animal shelter. We covered density and keeping the cities suburban. What other are there any other points that you want to cover? Any other issues?
Okay. Well, being the engineer, drainage is important. We had homes flood during Hurricane Harvey. Mm-hmm. And then in May 2019, there was another rain event where other homes flooded, and some homes flooded in both. So we've been working on drainage projects, and we had drainage projects both in the 2019 bond election and in the 2024 bond election to keep homes from flooding in the future during hurricanes or just really heavy rain events. And then also, we have a 10-year backlog on sidewalk repair, so I really have been pushing for more funds for sidewalk repair. So we got over $11 million in the bond election to work on the sidewalk repair over the next 5 to 7 years. And because there's so many beautiful live oak trees in the city, and they're planted oftentimes between the road and the sidewalk, and so that causes issues when these trees to get to be 30 or 40 years old. So we've got that. Oh, but one thing I can mention is the gondola. I've gotten a lot of questions about that. There is possible $120 million gondola project that would take a gondola about 4.5 miles from Lake Point over Highway 59 to Town Square, and then from Town Square down to the Smart Financial UH SugarLand area. And so
a gondola?
Yeah, a gondola like you'd have at a ski resort or like a theme park.
But there's not a hill.
No, but you would go over Highway 59. And so my concern is that you've got, as I mentioned, we've got a lot of through traffic. And so I'm concerned people will be driving down 59 and all of a sudden they would see this, gondola overhead, and they would look up and think, what in the world is this? And they could have an accident because they'll be going 70 miles an hour. And then it's something that would cost about $400,000 a year to operate and maintain. And they would charge to ride it, but I'm concerned that the fees that they would get from people riding it wouldn't cover the operating costs. But $120 million is a lot. And, I recognize we have a traffic mobility issue, but I don't think the gondola is the optimal way to solve that.
Okay, so first of all, the $120 million it cost to construct it.
Yeah, and they were wanting to get federal funds for about 80% of that, but that's still people's tax dollars because we all pay federal. Well, most of us pay federal income tax, and I don't think that's a good use of taxpayer funds, regardless of it's federal tax dollars or SugarLand taxpayer property tax funds.
And you said again $120 million to build it. Okay, and so then a private company would be contracted out to operate it, and their fee would be $400,000 a year.
Well, that's just they said it'd be estimated operating costs. I don't know if it'd be contracted out. Who would if the
and
city?
The city's on the bill for the $400,000.
Well, I don't know if the city would operate it or if they would subcontract it out. Somebody else obviously would build it, but I'm not sure who would actually operate it. If it'd be contracted out, if they would hire employees to operate.
Yeah, but the city's on the bill for the.
We are on the hook for that. Yeah, the amount for the operations and the maintenance costs.
So that's like a good deal for that company. Here, you pay for the build. You guarantee the operating costs. And we'll make our contract. I don't know. I don't even know where it sounds like such a wild idea.
It's definitely an out-of-the-box thought.
Where did this idea derive from?
I guess it came from city staff. So anyway, it's definitely got SugarLand on the map. It's made national news. A lot of people are talking about it, and some people say it's just a marketing gimmick that the city's not really serious about moving forward with it. So, but so I don't.
You're not going to push it.
I'm not. No, I'm not going to push it. No, I'd like to solve our mobility issue a different way. Yeah. And one thing we have right now that we're piloting.
I don't think that would solve the mobility issue, anyways.
But anyway, we've got a van pool program that we're piloting right now, and so within a pilot area, you can hop on someplace and it's a ride share, and it can pick you up and drop you off, and it's $2. And I think that's definitely a better way to solve the mobility issue than a gondola.
I feel like it's public transit is not the solution for transit issues. Everyone's got a car. Am I missing something here? I mean, what do you think?
Well, most people have a car, but one of these is equipped to handle people who are handicapped. So there could be a situation where someone who can't drive, or maybe can't afford a car, can get transportation, from their home to the doctor, home to the grocery store. So it's being piloted right now. So we'll see how it goes. It's just started a couple months ago.
My concern with these things is they start with small little, ideas, and then next thing you know, you're driving down Highway 6 and you got to stop for the bus in front of you. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm not interpreting this thing right, or maybe I'm thinking too much.
Yeah, well, this is not a bus. This is just a small van right here on this one.
Yeah.
So it's not a metro bus type situation. Yeah, but it's just a pilot. We'll see how it goes.
Take it one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. Yeah.
So what is the state of the race right now?
I am building momentum, and people are saying, Carol, I voted for you, or Carol, I'm voting for you. And so there's just a lot of excitement about this. And I need to talk about early voting. Early voting is underway, and it goes through this Tuesday, June 3rd. During the week, the polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They're open on Saturday from 8 to 5, closed Sunday. And there are two locations in the city of SugarLand city limits. One is at City Hall, and the other location is at the SugarLand Branch Library, which is at Eldridge at 7th. And then there's two locations just outside the city limits, one at the Kroger Riverstone, and then the other at the Merriam Center. So those are the closest places for people to vote. And then Election Day is Saturday, June 7th. Again, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and there will be about another 15 extra polling locations on Election Day. So, like I said, this is a runoff, June 7th, the election. So every vote is really critical. So I encourage everyone to exercise their right to vote, because your vote is your voice.
Very well said. And I apologize for looking at my phone. I have one woman who is really supporting you.
Yay!
And she texts me like twice a day, and she has very nice things to say about you. But anyways, I'm trying to do this real time on there. I can't find what she said, but
thank you.
So you one of my close friends is a big supporter of yours. So
glad to hear that.
Yeah. Well, do you want to say anything to close it out?
Oh, okay. Well, I have the knowledge, experience, and leadership skills needed to keep SugarLand strong and vibrant. I have a track record of getting things done, and I've got a strategic vision for our city, and I want to keep SugarLand just a welcoming suburban place to call home. So I ask everyone for their vote and support, and I really greatly thank everyone who has gotten me to this point where we are right now, and I look forward to being elected the next mayor of SugarLand. And Chris, it's great to see you again, and thank you so very much for having me on the air tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and it's been great to have you on the show, so very glad that you could make it. Well, this has been a great hour, and I appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best in the coming election.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley